From the moment I started Assassin's Creed Mirage, something about it felt different to me. I mean, obviously, it's very different from the kinds of AC games we've gotten recently, but what I mostly mean is, I could feel a true sense of passion and direction with this game that I haven't felt in this series in a long time. I made a video around a month ago saying Ubisoft Bordeaux, the studio behind the game, was the reason I had such hope for it. And after finishing the game and rolling the credits, I am more certain than ever that this team at Ubisoft Bordeaux understands Assassin's Creed better than any other current Ubisoft studio. I felt a passion behind this game that I have not seen or felt since Patrice Desilets and his original team at Ubisoft Montreal, who developed AC1 through Brotherhood. And I could tell from the beginning, ever since we had gotten those dev diaries, that something about Ubisoft Bordeaux felt different to me. This is not some massive juggernaut of a studio with thousands of employees like Montreal or Quebec. This is a studio with roughly 400 employees who had a clear goal and passion they wanted to carry out with Mirage. We got to learn and see the faces and names of the lead developers all throughout the marketing. We heard them talk about their love for the old Assassin's Creed games and their desire to make a love letter to those games. They interacted with the community and answered a lot of questions. They even received and applied criticism months before the game was set to be released. They sped up the parkour animations when people complained it looked too slow, and they added more glitch effects to Assassin's Focus because people felt that it didn't look like an Animus glitch enough. And some people were still skeptical because we've been burned by empty promises before. Remember with Valhalla? They tried to entice old fans by making promises and telling us things like social stealth will be back, hidden ones will be in the game, stealth is going to be majorly improved, and those ultimately felt like empty promises. Sure, they were in the game, but they were tacked on. They didn't feel like an actual prevalent part of the experience. Whereas with Mirage, what they promised was a return to roots, and they delivered on that promise. Bordeaux wanted to make this game. They wanted to make this love letter to the origins of the series. Ubisoft told them to make a DLC for Valhalla, and they pressed to be allowed to make a full game that pays homage to the roots of the series. This game was Bordeaux's idea, and you can tell this is a game they genuinely wanted to make. And might I remind people, they had a little over 2 years to develop it. What they accomplished is nothing short of impressive to me. Mirage feels like a passion project. Whereas with a game like Valhalla that's been touched by thousands of people and is filled with hours upon hours of empty content, ultimately feels more like a product meant to sell and squeeze as much time and money out of the consumer as possible. It's a game that tried to appeal and please everybody, and ultimately it felt like a game that was for nobody. Now, am I saying Mirage is a perfect game? No, of course not, but neither were those old Assassin's Creed games. I love this series, it's my favorite video game franchise, but I'm not deluded into thinking these games are masterpieces, and to be fair, I don't need them to be. Ubisoft Bordeaux made this game for the old Assassin's Creed fans. That is its target audience and the fan base it wants to please. That's why I'm not too surprised to see some mixed reviews on it. Those who are disliking this game probably just aren't fans of old Assassin's Creed, and that's okay. The game is just not for you then. That's not the audience Bordeaux is looking to please. But as a longtime fan of this series, in particular those older games, this felt like a game that was made for me, and for people like me, and it wouldn't exist without Bordeaux. I feel like there's finally a team at Ubisoft that understands what Assassin's Creed is at its core. Not only a team that understands the lore and the kind of story we want to see from an AC game, but just also how to make a fun stealth game. And Ubisoft, I'm speaking directly to you here, those higher-ups or whomever is in charge of assigning studios to develop the games, if you do not let Ubisoft Bordeaux develop another Assassin's Creed game after this, I will never forgive you. I enjoyed so much of Mirage, and knowing what Bordeaux is capable of, they should absolutely be given the time and resources to expand even further in another game. Again, if they did this in 2 years, what can they do if they were given the same time and resources that Quebec and Montreal get? This is Bordeaux's first game as a studio. The only thing they worked on in the series before this was the Wrath of the Druids DLC for Valhalla. A DLC I was very critical of, I might add, but they were limited within the confines of Valhalla as a game. Now we've seen what they can do when they actually make what they want to make. And to Quebec and Montreal, how are you gonna let a studio that has never made an AC game before, let alone a game before, understand this series better than you? I mean, Montreal created this series. Granted, nobody from those days is still at the studio, so that probably explains a lot. And honestly, who knows if Quebec even wants to make Assassin's Creed games. But now that I've finished Mirage, it's very bittersweet to me, because I know the next two games are going to be nothing like this. Codename Red is of course going to be another massive RPG, although there are leaks about it focusing on stealth, so I hope that's true. Then with Hexy, we don't know much, but we know it's supposed to be very different from anything we've seen in the series before. So the idea that this could be it for this type of AC game for the foreseeable future is very sad for me. I'm really hoping Bordeaux is allowed to make another game and isn't just stuck on DLC duty for Codename Red and Hexy, because that is such a waste of their talents. Heck, I'd even love a DLC for Mirage. I know they said there were no plans for any, but if this game is successful enough, who knows? I had a cool thought that we could have a DLC playing as Roshan through her perspective of the game's events. That could be really fun, I think. Or a DLC filling in the gaps from the end of Mirage to the beginning of Valhalla. Man, I wouldn't even mind seeing a sequel for Bazum. He is such an interesting character to me. But yeah, it's safe to say if Bordeaux makes another AC game, I'm 100% playing it. They've earned my trust. I wish I could shake these people's hands because they made me feel like a kid again with this game. It's a feeling I haven't had while playing an AC game in a long time. I've seen some people saying they did the bare minimum with Mirage, and you can have your opinion of course, but I completely disagree with that sentiment. Valhalla was the bare minimum if you ask me. Hey, let's throw in social stealth and hidden ones and we can still call it Assassin's Creed. No, Mirage did so much more than that, and it did some things even better than those old Assassin's Creed games. Just to name an example, the ability to upgrade and change the effects for all your different tools, civilians being able to point you out to guards within the notoriety system, having an ability like Assassin's Focus that brings so much more freedom and creativity to stealth. It's not my favorite AC game, and again, it's far from perfect, but to say it did the bare minimum just rubs me the wrong way. And this game doesn't really feel or play like Valhalla at all, so I don't understand that criticism either. It may be limited in some capacity by the engine, but this is still a very different game. And when was the last time a Ubisoft studio for Assassin's Creed was allowed to pursue an idea and make a game they genuinely wanted to make? Like I said, something about Mirage feels very different. It felt more personal. And after rolling the credits and seeing this, it only confirmed the care and passion Bordeaux put into this game. I mean, I could be wrong here, but this is the only time I know of where I've seen a thank you message from the devs after playing an Assassin's Creed game. I think a new team of devs that are genuine fans of the series, in particular those original games, being allowed to make this type of game is the best thing to happen to this franchise in a while. So, thank you Ubisoft Bordeaux. I pray this isn't the last time we see your work in a new AC game. Of course, this is my opinion though. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you've been enjoying Mirage. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you considered leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you're new. Special thank you to my members for supporting me as always, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.